Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to this On the Shoulders of Giants YouTube channel. It's your homeboy, Joseph Ward, your historical homeboy, coming straight from the South. I didn't even know if I really wanted to do this video. So today I'm talking about Jay-Z and the latest statement that he's made. Because as a historian, I'm trying to wrap my mind around where he's coming from as a whole. If you aren't aware, a couple days ago, Jay-Z was on a panel and he was making a statement about how single-parent households led by mothers, the children that come from those households have aggression and an issue with authority. And so because people come from a single-parent household with this aggression, this leads to the police brutality that we face. So I'm looking at this from the standpoint of our community. And I'm also being aware of people's personal experiences. I'm not discounting Jay-Z's personal experience. But what I am discounting is that his personal experience of what he saw happening around him in Brooklyn, New York, is the norm, especially for black people throughout the United States. Because I thought the statement was dangerous and erroneous on a whole level. If we're talking about us as a whole, not Jay-Z's individual experiences or what he experienced in Brooklyn, but to say that when you come from a single parent household, you have that fuck you mentality to authority. Now, I come from a single parent household, and I know a lot of people who come from a single parent household. And the first thing I do know is that we all don't have the same experiences. We all do not have the same experiences. But as a historian, because this whole channel is wrapped around our history. So as a historian, my mind went to wondering, my mind went to thinking, what historical information have I come across in my time to help back up his statement? And I really couldn't think of any historical evidence as a whole to show that single parent households or children coming from a single parent household hold this aggression or this disdain towards authority figures, and because they hold this disdain toward authority figures, this is the reason for police brutality. And then I went to look at it specifically for our community, for the black community in America. And I know as a historian that our issues with the police predate the explosion of single parent households. Because we know the explosion of single parent households, especially black single parent households, took place in the 1960s, 1970s, when welfare was introduced to black families. And I already did a video about, I think it happened about 2-3 years ago. I already did a video, so that the link to that video will be in the description, and it will be on the end screen of this video. So you can see it. Well, I already did a video about the history of the relationship between black people and the police. And from my own research, I know that the relationship between black people in America and the police has been sour since day one. In the previous video I made, I talked about how the relationship goes back to the to the 1930s, right? It goes back to the 1930s, and then I covered slavery, the slave codes, the creation of the day patrols and the night patrols in the North that were modeled, the police forces that were modeled after the Sir Vincent Peale's police force that he created in England. And then I also talked about the slave patrols in the South. So we're talking about things that predate anything modern that we know. So our relationship with the police force is not our bad relationship with the police force is not something new. It's not something that just started in the 19th century. Black people in America have never, ever, ever had a positive relationship with the police. It's never been there. And I don't care how people try to spin this, it's erroneous information. I was in debates with people on Facebook yesterday, matter of fact, yesterday, talking about this specific topic, because I hear a lot of people saying that Jay-Z is correct. Jay-Z is not correct. Jay-Z has no historical evidence or no information to present to show that the reason why we have a bad relationship between black people specifically, and I'm just talking about black people. Between black people and the police, the relationship is bad because we have a lot of aggression coming from single parent households. That's just not true. And even if we talk about from a broad sense of all the populations of America, we do know that a lot of people who have, first of all, your view of the police is an individual choice, is an individual viewpoint. But what about all the serial killers and the terrorists that come from two-parent households? Right? And also, it's almost like an assertion that black women aren't raising their children right. Now, we do know that children need both parents, and we do know that not having both parents it may lead to the children having ideas and thoughts that they may not have if they come from a two-parent household. But we cannot say across the board. I'm from Tallahassee, Florida. My brother and I grew up in the house with my mother. I'm not going to say she was a single parent because my father was there, but we grew up and there was no father present in the house. And neither myself nor my brother have been arrested. Matter of fact, all of my friends that I know who come from single parent households, I don't ever remember any of them having any issues with the law. So we can't, the main thing about this is we can't make broad statements without historical perspective, because as a historian, that's how my mind works. What evidence do we have to prove this to either be fact or fiction? And as of right now, looking at this whole statement that Jay-Z made, and even though it was a clip, it was just a clip, and I would love to see the whole panel. Even though that clip rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And I just want to make sure from a historical perspective that we understand that there are various factors from our standpoint that could lead to a child having disdain for authority. There are various factors. And I'm not even saying that a child coming from a single parent household is not a factor. I'm not even eliminating that as a factor. But what I am saying is you dead wrong if you're making a sweeping statement that children, especially black children, because I'm just looking at us, black children coming from a single parent household will be a reason, or would be the reason that our relationship with the police is bad. Our relationship with the police doesn't have anything to do with the status of our households. We have historical record to show that our relationship with the police is as old as America. It's older than America. Slave patrols existed for hundreds of years, right? The purpose of the slave patrol was to capture slaves who were escaping slavery and to bring them back. Even the slave codes allow for, and I talked about this in the previous video I made between the video about the relationship between black people and the police. The slave codes allowed the slave patrols and the slave masters to kill black people and get away with it. To kill black folk and get away with it. So it's a dangerous statement to make, but this is all a part of the partnership that Jay-Z has with the NFL, where they're supposed to be creating social justice campaigns to help combat police injustice and combat injustices, period. against black community. I personally don't have any faith in that happening between those two entities, Jay-Z and the NFL. More of my distrust comes from the NFL, because I'm just looking at them as, you're going to fix social injustice while practicing social injustice, which is straight bullshit. But don't tell me how you feel from your individual standpoint. Do your research, get the information, and show me the pattern, show me the precedent, show me the information that can back up that single parent households are the reason that we have bad relationships with the police, or that black people look at police in a different light, or even that could lead to a disrespect for authority. I don't know where that information comes from. I really don't know where that information comes from. Now, we do know that we have more single parents, especially for black America. We have more single parent households now than we've ever had in our history, especially in our history in America. And like I say, in the 1960s and 70s, when the welfare was offered to black people and black women had a chance to get resources, and women, period, had a chance to get resources, that started the boom of the single parent households. But once we gather that, once we start looking at this information, we start breaking things down. Because what about the bad relationship between black people and the police from 1900, or from 1950 on back to 1900, before the boom in the single parent households? Like, we have things on record that we could see. We have video that we can see. We understand the rise of the Ku Klux Klan and all these things that has happened before this boom in single parent households. So if we know we have this information documented, that the relationship, the disdain between blacks and police has been occurring since the mid 1500s, since the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, and even before 1960. How can single parent households be the reason why we have our bad relationships with the police? And to assert that the main reason, and I'm just saying, because you could take it many ways, but one of the ways I took it, and I might be wrong, but one of the ways I took it is we're also experiencing bad treatment from the police because of our behavior, because of our lack of authority or disdain for authority figures. And that just sounds like horrible policing. That just sounds like excuses, because we have so much information to show that white Americans have total disdain and no respect for the law, for authorities, for police officers. Matter of fact, there's just a video last week of a white guy who committed all these terrorist acts, running around butt naked, choking people, and was taken away harmlessly. Going back to Dylan Roof shooting up the church in South Carolina, who was taken, no harm done to him, and then taken to Burger King. So the thing is, and we also have to look at this. When white America wants to silence black people, they either get entertainers, athletes, or preachers who they can get to buy into what they're saying. They get these athletes, entertainers, and preachers, and they put them out in front of us. What they give them on the back end, we really don't know. Some of the deal is sweetened on them, but these people are supposed to speak for us. First of all, Jay-Z does not speak for black America. He does not speak for black America. Jay-Z can only speak for Jay-Z. He's not our spokesperson. So anybody who's thinking that he's our spokesperson, hell, I'm not black America's spokesperson. No, but we haven't had some national black meeting to sit down and decide who our leaders and our spokespeople are and our spokesmen are. We haven't had these meetings. So how the hell can somebody just come out of nowhere and say, I speak for black America? Nobody speaks for black America, especially black America hasn't given you that mantle. No, that's not how that happens. So it's just there's historical information to show that every time black people are mad at white people and black people have, it seems like black people would come together or assemble and do some things that a preacher or entertainer or athlete gets sent out to calm us down and keep us docile. I keep telling people, man, niggas come in all shapes, size, forms, and fashion. The nigga ain't the dude with the gold teeth in his, he's not just the dude with the gold teeth in his mouth or the girl with the gold teeth in their mouth. Somebody with pants sagging, had the locks all everywhere. That's a black person. That doesn't necessarily mean that person is a nigga. You're a nigga by your actions. If you have self-destructive actions, you're a nigga. If your actions are self-defeating, you're a nigga. If you constantly work against your community, you're a nigga. And niggas come in all shapes, size, forms, and fashions. Now, with that being said, I'm not a part of the cancel culture. So if you want to be a part of people who cancel Jay-Z, that's your business. I'm not a part of the cancel culture, but I also don't have to support you. I also don't have to listen to you, and I don't have to buy into what you're saying. And when I see some bullshit, I got to call it out. And I think that statement, no, I know that statement is bullshit. What he said is not true. It's not true across the board. You can't show me. And if you think the statement is true, provide me with the information to back up your claim. That's what I've been asking people since yesterday. Provide me with the information to back up your claim that single parent households, especially in the black community, single parent households produce children produce so many children who have so much disdain for authority, and this disdain for authority leads to the bad relationship between black people and the police. It's straight bullshit, especially when I've done my damn research. Because when you do your research, you know what time it is. Just going back to that quote James Baldwin had, when you are awake and you know what's going on, man, you just walk around in a perpetual state of anger all the time because you see the bullshit that's happening. If you believe those statements, if you believe Jay-Z's statement, provide me with the information to back up his claims and your claims. Please do. I'm providing you the video. I've already made a video about our relationship between blacks and the police. I need to make a video about how welfare, the true effects of welfare in black households. I really need to make that, but I've talked to other historians, and I went looking for the information myself. I couldn't find any information to prove that this single parent households are the reason. Single parent households are producing children who have a lack of authority, and this lack of authority leads to the bad relationship between black and the police department. It's all bull. In my opinion, Jay-Z sitting in a room full of bigwigs and trying to fit in and doing his song and dance to fit in with the bigwigs. I think Jay is smarter. I know Jay-Z is smarter than that. But Jay been saying a lot of dumb shit lately. And I know he's smarter than that. Now, I don't think... Now, remember, neither Jay-Z nor a lot of our entertainers and athletes are activists. Right? We have people who literally dedicate their lives to activism. That's one thing that makes this whole NFL thing just crazy to me is they just go pick up Jay-Z and just say, "Hi, Jay-Z." But not to harp on that particularly, but the statement is what I'm really harping on. It's the statement, the erroneous, ignorant statement that he made. No, Jay-Z, you are wrong. And I don't care how many albums you got. I don't care how many times you went platinum. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care that you wifed up Beyonce. None of that stuff. It doesn't mask the fact that your statement was false and your statement was ignorant and damaging. And you are espousing the same rhetoric that racists in this country, white supremacists in this country, espouse. Making excuses. It's basically what y'all are saying. It's our fault that we have bad relationship between us and the police. That's basically what they're saying. It's our fault, which is straight bullshit. It's not our fault. We are the victims of police brutality. We are the victims of white supremacy. We are. Now, we could do things on our end better to protect ourselves, but it's not our fault. We didn't start this, right? We didn't start this race. These race soldiers are out there on a regular basis doing their best to keep us down. Remember, a race soldier's job is to help maintain white power and control, white supremacist white power and control. That's their job. So, and you can go look it up for yourself. Jay-Z is espousing rhetoric from white racists, blaming us for for the bad relationship between us and the police. That's just not true. It's just not true. And I want to make sure I make this video, because usually I try not to dive in. I usually try to stick to my historical videos, giving information about the our unsung historical figures. Usually I try to stick to that. But more and more things are happening. More and more things are being said. And I got to talk now. Now, I do have a podcast. A lot of times I may not say things on here, make these type of videos on here, because I do have a podcast called the Freedom Train Network. You can check it out at www.freedomtrainradio.com. I'll make sure I put a link in the description, where I usually talk about a lot of these topics. But this one in particular, I couldn't just not talk about it on this platform, because we have to look at it from a historical perspective. We have to wrap history around this. That's why we study history. We all know if you know your history, you won't repeat it. We keep repeating history because we don't know our history. And the thing is, we can't keep allowing people to tell our narratives, or tell parts of our narratives, or even distort our narratives, especially when we have all of these platforms. All of these platforms to give information and to receive information. It's not happening. It's not happening on my watch. It's not happening while I have this channel, this microphone, and my ability, my knowledge, and my ability to give information. Jay, you wrong, bro. You're wrong. And I'm going to need you to stop talking, because the more you talk, the more you show your ignorance as far as historical content. As far as things that really have happened to black people here in America, you're showing your ignorance. And all you have to do is look it up. All anybody have to do is look it up. That we can't keep putting our stock in athletes, entertainers, celebrities. Just because somebody is great at one thing don't mean that they're proficient at something else. I'm a historian. Do not bring your car to me to get it fixed. I know how to change brakes, and I know how to do oil change and all that stuff, but I ain't no damn mechanic. I've had experience fixing. I had a ragged ass 93 Zuzu Rodeo. I've had experience fixing on that. But you bring your car to me to fix because I've told you that I've worked on my car, you a damn fool. I am not a mechanic. I am a historian. I would not go to McDonald's talking about I need to get my back fixed. McDonald's sell fast, nasty ass fast food. McDonald's ain't the damn doctor. So we can't keep going to athletes and entertainers for our social justice and our historical information, especially if we know that particular entertainer or celebrity is not well versed. There are some who are well versed, and our hat goes off to them, who give the truth, who tell truthful information. But in this instance, Jay-Z is giving erroneous information. Our relationship with the police has been bad since the 1530s. Slave patrols. Remember that. The modern police force is nothing but a melding of the night watches and day watches of the North, who were modeled after the police forces created by Sir Robert Peel, so the day watches and night watches mixed with the slave patrol are our modern day police force. But it seemed like the slave patrol elements are the ones that we experience the most. Just do your history, man. Just do your research. It's one thing that's about this channel. This channel and this information is introductory information for you to go do your own research. There are plenty of platforms out there giving historical information. But I couldn't let this one go. I couldn't let this one happen like this. I couldn't let this one go out. I don't want anybody to believe that it's our fault that the police treat us the way they do. I don't want anybody to believe that single parent households are producing children who have a total disdain for authority, and this total disdain for authority is the reason why black people have a bad relationship with the police. Now, I'm not saying that a child who has a lack of authority didn't come from a single parent household. I would be ignorant to make that statement. But what I'm not saying is across the board, or this is the reason why our relationship is what it is, or like we just don't have no respect for authority because of the single parent households. Because basically it's saying that the mothers aren't raising their children properly, and because the mothers aren't raising their children properly, we got bad relationship with the police. Maybe the police aren't being trained properly, or maybe they are being trained properly. But it's the goal of the police force to keep us in check, maintaining power and control. So I just want to drop that off on y'all real quick. Like I couldn't let that go. I couldn't let it go. I had to say something. I had to say something. Jay-Z, you're wrong. You're wrong asserting that single parent households, but that the children that are produced in single parent households have a disdain for authority, and this disdain for authority across the board now, across the board, this disdain for authority for these children across the board is it's the cause of our bad relationship between us and the police. And also, I do want to make this point too. The fact that we're talking about Jay-Z, because people like to say that Kaepernick's kneeling worked. I disagree that Kaepernick's kneeling worked. I disagree that Kaepernick was successful in bringing more awareness or getting people to talk more about police injustices against black people. Now, black people may be talking about it, but for the broader scope of America, I disagree. For the fact, think about it, we're talking about Jay-Z. Every time we talk about Kaepernick, we're never talking about why Kaepernick took a knee. When's the last time on TV or anywhere that a mixed group of people, not just black people, but a mixed group of people got together, or any group of people got together and had a full-on discussion about why Kaepernick took a knee? We're talking about everything else. We're talking about Cap actually taking a knee. We're talking about the white guy who told Kaepernick to take a knee. We're talking about him disrespecting the flag. We're talking about him disrespecting the national anthem. We're talking about him disrespecting the military. We're talking about Super Bowl halftimes. We're talking about Jay-Z. We're talking about Beyonce. We're talking about everything except why Kaepernick took a knee. I can't remember the last time we had that conversation about why Kaepernick took a knee. We're not talking about that. So in that regard, in that respect, it wasn't successful in this, and it wasn't necessarily his fault that it wasn't successful. He was dealing with entities who had the resources to make him unsuccessful. Now, I know I use my platform. I definitely use my podcast to talk about it. But if all of Black America, if we use our collective resources, then we can get that conversation going better. But as of right now, we're not talking about it. We're not talking about why Kaepernick took a knee. Just for a little precedence on that. But just all in all, do your research, people. Do your research. Your personal experiences or somebody else's personal experiences does not equate for the totality of Black America, and it does not equate for like a historical foundation of precedents or sets of this is why this is happening. I've never had a bad interaction with the police. But does that mean police brutality don't exist? Hell nah. I'm not going to say that a child who comes from a single parent household will not or cannot have a disdain for authority or a disdain for police. I'm not going to say that. But I'm also not going to say that because somebody comes from a single parent household that they have a disdain for authority. And that leads to the bad relationship between us and the police. Because that's an erroneous statement. And once again, Jay-Z, your statement is false, and is irresponsible, and it's ignorant. And just got to put it out like that. So thank y'all for tuning in. Remember, y'all can go to support me on Patreon. Just patreon.com/OTSOG. Your contributions will help me be able to create more content, create better content, get better equipment, do more research, have more information available. So you can donate as little as $1, or you can donate as much as $40. Now, man, my Own the Shoulders of Giants online courses are also available on my Patreon. So that's up to like the $40 mark and more. So you can go check me out on that, www.patreon.com/OTSOG. And thank you all, everybody who tuned in to this channel. This channel is definitely growing. I appreciate you all. Thank you for the people who comment. And please, when you comment, please make respect. Please comment respectfully on these videos and things. You can disagree with somebody respectfully, and if you're going to challenge the information, please provide information to challenge the information. That's all I got to say. But On the Shoulders of Giants, remember my website. You go check my website at www.ontheshoulders1.com. And we just do what we do. And just know I have another historical, a video of an unsung hero coming at you real soon. So once again, it's Joseph Ward on the Shoulders of Giants, and I'm out. Peace.